Okay, 2013 4th of July fireworks stash. Let's see what we got. Okay, down on the bottom we have our 3-inch finale cakes. We've got 16 of these. These are the heavy hitters. They're 3-inch shells. They go up higher. They have bigger bursts than the 500s. And most of these will be tied into our finale cakes, although a half dozen will be tied to some of our 500-gram boards. And these are 12 of my 500-gram boards. Each one of these has 6 or 5, actually one has only 4, 500-gram cakes, all wired together. Each board will go off all the cakes at one time, lasting anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds. Most of these cakes have average probably 12 shots per cake. Some are 9, some are 16. But they pack a pretty good punch. And you can see that each one of these boards, we've got labels on them that indicates the number, the segment number in the chute, and how long it lasts, and actually how many shots are in the board. And these 500-gram boards will be alternating with 200-gram boards and mortar blocks. So should provide a lot of firepower for the show. Now we'll head on into here. This is my bunker room, and this is my workbench. This is where I cut up my OSB. This is where I fused up a lot of my boards and my racks. And over here are my mortar racks, and I'll back up a little bit so you can get a better look at them. And I've got a total of about 640 tubes all racked up here. Most of the racks are stored on their side because they stack a lot better that way. These things are heavy. There's a lot of weight here. But I've got a few of them sitting out so you can see what they look like. And we've got 24-shot racks, 12-shot racks. We've got some 8s, a couple of 16s. The ones that will be used in the finale are all straight up and down like this guy right here. The ones that will be used in the middle of the show are fanned out like this, so they spread out in the sky a little bit more. Of these 640, 310 of these will be used in the grand finale. 310 mortars going off in about 30 seconds, averaging a little over 10 per second. Should be quite a trip here. Now above these, I've got four 500-gram racks, boards. These are going to be one part of my finale. These are some of my best and my biggest cakes, and each one of these boards will have a 3-inch finale cake tied to it. Each board will be having all its cakes go off at the same time, so all 16 of these cakes will go off at once in about 35 seconds, so that should be a pretty intense lead up to the canister finale. And the idea of the show is that we'll have blocks of mortars going off, then we'll have 500-gram boards going off, and then we'll have 200-gram boards going off to try to give as much variety as we can. Now, speaking of the 200-gram boards, we've got about a dozen of those segments, and they kind of look like this. Each segment will have 2 of these boards, and each board will have anywhere from 3 to 5 of these things stacked up on each side. So each segment will have probably anywhere from 15 to 20 of these 200-gram cakes. And the 200-gram cakes, their bursts don't go that high, they're not that big, but there are a lot of them. Typical cake averages probably about 16 shots. So you got a couple segments there, and you've got another 2 segments here, and another 2 segments there, a couple more there, a couple more here. And these are really nice because each one of these segments will probably have between 300 and 400 individual shots. Each one of these segments will be tied to either an 8-shot mortar rack or a 6-shot 2¼ inch preloaded shell rack. A number of these will have 500-gram cakes attached to them, like this one right here. Here's an example where I've got 15 200-gram cakes and 2 500-gram cakes. Right here we've got 3 pairs of 500-gram cakes that will be tied into some of these 200-gram boards, like this one right here. This one has got 3 300-shot Saturn missile batteries. Not a lot of show, but a lot of noise and kind of a crowd pleaser. And a lot of these boards will also be tied to what we call sprinkler cakes. And these are sprinkler cakes. Here's 4 of them here. Another 3 here. And what these are cakes that have a lot of shots that go off in a fairly short amount of time. They have anywhere from 150 to as many as 312 shots that go off anywhere from 20 to 50 seconds. And they just add a little of the wow factor to your to each segment. Up here we've got some bigger sprinkler cakes. Synchronicity and the multiplicity, though each one of those has 312 shots. These will be tied to the grand finale. These will be tied to the false finale. These other guys, Master of Our Enemies and We Will Rock You, they'll be tied to some of the 200-gram boards. Don't last a long time. They got a lot of shots and they really look pretty exciting. So the idea of mixing everything up, I think, is going to provide for a pretty interesting show. I mentioned my false finale, and that's this guy down here. A little hard to see, but I actually have 5 boards in here, each one of which has 8 200-gram cakes. So we'll have, in the space of about 50 seconds, we'll have 40 200-gram cakes. We'll have 3 of the 3-inch finale cakes, and we'll also have 3 12-rack shots of the mortars. One of those racks will have the really powerful Blue Thunder salutes. They don't have a lot of color, but they've got a lot of noise. So that should be a real exciting part that comes midway through the show. And then after we get back into the second half and we alternate the 200-gram boards and we alternate the mortar blocks and we alternate the 500-gram boards, then eventually we're going to get into our finale. Now here's my 200-gram finale boards. And we actually, a little hard to see, but I actually got 7 of these. And each one of these 7 boards has 8 200-gram cakes on it. That's 56, and I'll have 6 of these Saturn missile batteries. Each one of these guys has got 300 shots in them. And these 62 cakes will be tied into 4 12-shot mortar racks and 3 of the 3-inch finale cakes. And that will be a lot of firepower going off in about 50 to 55 seconds. So my finale sequence is going to start with these 16 500-gram cakes, 16 of my best cakes, tied into 4 of my best 3-inch finale cakes, lasting probably about 35 seconds. And then that will transition into my 200-gram finale, about 50 seconds with 62 200-gram cakes, 48 mortars, and 3 3-inch finale cakes. And then that will transition into my 310 mortars going off in about 30 seconds, about 10 mortars per second. So the show should finish up with a very intense 2-minute finale that hopefully is going to get everybody up on their feet, jumping and screaming. Now, all these things will be brought over to the site in Otsego probably on July 4th or 5th. Our shoot is scheduled for Saturday the 6th, weather permitting. And I say it'll take a whole day just to get this stuff over here. And then even though everything is all fused and foiled and wired and ready to go, it'll take a good day just to take all this stuff down to the site and then hook everything up with the electric firing wires that go into our remote wireless firing devices. We're using these right here. These are Quantum Fire electronic firing systems. We've got 4 12Q systems. Each one will have something like this. This is a Talon igniter. It uses speaker wire, plugs into the remote device. And then this little alligator clip goes on to the fuse, and then we use the remotes, which are numbered, and then we will use these to ignite each one of the Qs. And hopefully, if things go off without a hitch, we'll be able to set this whole thing off from a distance and won't have to stand there with a blowtorch setting individual fuses off. So all in all, we've got ourselves, counting the 2 1/4 preloads that I've got in the garage, about 700 mortars. And counting my 500-gram sprinkler cakes, we've got over 100 500-gram cakes. And we've got about 320 of my 200-gram cakes. And I added up all the individual explosions once, and I came to over 13,000 separate little explosions, which will be going off in a period of about 25 to 30 minutes. So hopefully this will be exciting, this will be intense, and everybody's going to have a good time. So we hope I'll see you there. Bye now.